That alone is, if you've got that, it's the gold standard, I think. And things were really different back then during the heyday. I think the sense of work-life balance, burnout. I came from I guess the time period where you worked really hard. There was no cutoff of hours. It was almost like a gold medal or patch. The more time you put in, the longer you were there. Overnights, like there was no separation. That doesn't exist anymore, really, unless you truly care about it. But so I'd be up at 6:30 in the morning at the gym, at my desk at 9, work all night, go out, socialize. Became like a vicious cycle for many years.
Welcome to Inspiration Contagion, where we spread inspiration one story at a time. I am your host, Holly Jean Jackson. Each interview spotlights transformational business leaders, their stories, challenges, and advice for how you too can lead yourself and others through inspiration. Learn how you too can achieve peak performance, build more revenue, and lead the legacy you were meant to lead. Welcome back to episode 109 of Inspiration Contagion. I have a very special guest with me this week. We have Amanda Mintz. She is the founder of Amanda Mintz Creative Management, which was established back in 2010. With nearly 20 years in creative talent acquisition, she has built teams for brands like Calvin Klein, Sephora, and innovative startups such as Sechi and Chill House. Big names, y'all. You're going to want to really tune in and listen and take some ninja notes here. She's a connector and a creative alchemist. She immerses herself in company cultures to find the right and top talent. Before AMCM, she was the director of creative services at Janu Pactor, working with top fashion brands and studios. Now she's based in Connecticut. She is passionate about community impact, co-hosting events like the Blossoming Business Soiree. Sounds pretty cool to me, y'all. She's known for her adventurous spirit and her devotion to her daughter, Isabella. With that, welcome, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to have you here. I'm so excited to see where this conversation goes. But I want to kick it off with one of my favorite questions, and that's, what makes you such an inspirational leader, or what's your secret sauce?
I think so much for me has been following an unconventional path. Really, some of the best things never go according to planned, and sometimes there's a lot of discovery along the way. It's truly, passions evolve and they change. Intuition has always been my secret power and human connectivity.
Tell me a little bit more about human connectivity and intuition and how that's your secret power.
That for me has pretty much been the key for my business. Really building strong relationships, getting to understand people as people, long-lasting partnerships, and understanding the creative and business mind. I really do think it's a nuance. It's like a sixth sense for me. I would call it my sixth sense. With that, being able to understand founders, understand business objectives and creatives and the careers that I have built, and nurturing talent along the way. And then, of course, being able to bring those people to established, transitional, and emerging industries. Companies.
Yeah. And that's such an important sixth sense to have too, because I know with the small business owners I work with and even bigger brands that I work with, the biggest gap in the market is helping them with their growth factors. And a lot of times that's finding the right key people that are aligned with vision, mission, values, and the right fit for the company. So I'm so grateful that they have you or their back pocket to figure that out. So the other question I want to ask you, in this windy, beautiful path you've had of trusting your sixth sense and following that intuition, is what does inspiration mean to you? And how have you kind of come around this definition?
I think inspiration can look a lot different at different times. whether for me, it's being around inspiring people, thought leadership, brand innovators, or it can be out in nature, just in the quiet times and hustle and bustle. I'm a true Gemini. I would say for me, I run really fast and really hard, and the pace of the city and culture and arts and travel is really big. Um, Spending time in other cultures, experiencing different things. And then in the quiet time, in the time that I do for myself, whether it's really long walks or early morning dance class, I have some of my best ideas when I'm doing that, or and in conversation and community too. I'm leaning more and more into that. I truly find in this day and age, there's so much sharing and connection and community, that people are really building off of others and shared knowledge. That's been really inspiring lately.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And I agree that for me, one of the things I think we're very similar with our inspiration board, so to speak,
Mhm.
is the travel element, immersing yourself in different experiences and cultures to have those different outlets and viewpoints to expand thinking and ways of doing and ways of working and ways of building relationships. And then also having that dynamic, like you and I are both very type A, very driven, very high energy people. But then it's so important for people like us to find those moments of what I call harmony versus balance, because that seasonality changes
Yeah.
where you have that quiet and you can lean in and lean on your community. So that's beautiful. What a great answer. I did want to pivot and I want to talk about one of my favorite topics. And obviously, we work together. Amanda's a beautiful client of mine. I love it's an honor to work with her. But we're working on some peak performance things. So I want to hear from your perspective and all of your experiences and building businesses, building brands, building teams. How do you define peak performance and how did you arrive at your definition?
I'm going to answer this in the same way. I think that my definition of peak performance has really changed over time. Again, I fell into my industry. I was, not necessarily looking for this type of career. It's something that the path just showed me. I started right after college, and, the market was really bad. I moved to New York City. I knew that I was always very interested in, I think, communications. I've always worked in service and just been able, like, such a people pleaser, such a people person, magnet for people. And I love that. And I love helping others. I studied art history in school, so have, like, really naturally, and I've grown up around the arts and in and around creative my entire life. So have always had just sort of a visionary eye for design and aesthetics. I place a lot of value on that and just beautiful things. So for me, it was kind of natural when I landed a career in recruiting as a candidate. And then, I'd say flash forward, started really working with major companies all through word of mouth. I had been working at a top search firm before. I had gone in as a candidate, and, it never did it cross my mind like, oh my gosh, you're going to be really great at this. I have to say, during that time period in my 20s, so passionate. It felt like the marrying of being able to build brands, find the right creative talent and place those into those brands and see brands come to life. So you really see the back end of how something is built comes to be. You appreciate it. I look at retail, I look at brands that are doing innovative things, and I can geek out on it, right? Like, um, but I didn't really have a sense, I didn't really have a sense of boundaries or time. It just became my entire life, whereby, you know, huge companies were coming to me, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was a year out on my own. You figure a lot along the way. And I worked like a crazy person. I think, in New York City for 17 years. I don't need to say anything else. That alone is, if you've got that, it's the gold standard, I think. And things were really different back then. during the heyday. I think the sense of work-life balance, burnout. I came from I guess the time period where you worked really hard. There was no cutoff of hours. It was almost like a gold medal or patch. The more time you put in, the longer you were there. Overnights, like there was no separation. That doesn't exist anymore, really, unless you truly care about it. But so I'd be up at 6:30 in the morning at the gym, at my desk at 9, work all night, go out, socialize. Became like a vicious cycle for many years. But at the same point, I was running so fast and just really focused on the numbers and the clients and just hitting gold runs, like hitting home runs all the time, and acquisition and watching that. I was almost amazed that I never marketed. Everything was word of mouth. And as an A-type person, I was very much giving of all of my time and boundaries, whatever it took to get it done and do it perfect to my standards and why these businesses were coming to me.
Yeah.
And also setting up a business, right? That in
Yeah.
itself is a business.
It is. So I guess my question would be, given how things were in the heyday of New York and where you're at now, has your definition of how you would run after or define peak performance today, would it be different than how you pursued it?
100%.
Okay.
100%. I would say mind, body, spirit, right?
Yeah.
In a short-winded way, I got absolutely burned out, which I know is common. And sometimes you need to slow down to speed up and to get perspective and momentum, where everything was urgent at all times and inbox had to be cleared and everything had to be set up and meticulous, and it wasn't done until I said it was done. It was never done. Work is never done, right? And I think giving the time and space and going through adrenal fatigue, burnout, I totally lost my mojo. And I think being able to pick and choose the relationships, clients, partnerships, brand deals at this juncture, perhaps it's all worth it. Because looking back at younger me, I said yes to everything under whatever terms, and really toxic corporate culture, toxic people. I'm such a people pleaser, or I was, and evolving into the point where I get to choose how I want to structure my days, who I work with naturally, what works well for me and my body. I have a routine, and I guess it's more just like being in a flow state now.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Some of the things I want to highlight that Amanda just shared that I think will really resonate with our listeners and our viewers. This happens to pretty much every business owner, either cyclically or when they first get started. And in particular with my recovering perfectionist type A clients, and I'm also a recovering perfectionist. So I see you, I feel you. This is completely normal. You're not alone. But it is when things take off and you end up saying yes to everything. When we do this, we kind of back ourselves into this corner of busyness. And then we lose sight of what's actually our definition of success and peak performance in a way that's holistic and balanced so that we can keep our own cup full. And so what Amanda was just sharing is her new definition around peak performance, which is a little more holistic, a lot more holistic, mind, body, spirit, and being really selective and picky with who and how you spend your time with them. So thank you for sharing that. That's one of the challenges you just shared, right? But I wanted to see if there's another challenge that you face along your road to peak performance today that you'd like to share with our listeners.
You know what I really think is being true to yourself and authentic. And in the evolution of life, things come up. It may not look exactly how you wanted it. Life changes have happened. They sure have to me. And a lot of transition. And I think at the end of the day, your health is wealth. Extremely important as you show up. you have to take care of your body. Anything else other than that, looking good, feeling good. It's like, I always say this, like, when you show up a game, your mind is clear, you're not burned out, you're not just going through the motions, you're inspired, you're excited, you're lit up. That feels really good. And I would antiquate the old me as a car running without gasoline for very long. Eventually that car is going to crash, and you do have to like fill your own cup, from operating from a place of depletion to doing things that are really restorative, inspiring. I always, I like to learn something new every day. I certainly, humans were evolving, right? And in this culture of work-life balance, especially post-COVID, where everything is a lot more intertwined, right? You have many companies looking, remote work is really on the rise, project-based work, as I said, communities. It's really been about defying the norms of what I think a lot of people my generation are conditioned to, and living a life on terms that feel really good to me.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is different generations have different conditions, and our society also, depending on our industry, the type of work we do, has different expectations that have been placed on us, that have even subconscious things that happen to us. So it's really, like Amanda was just sharing, unpacking that and then being very clear and intentional on what works for you and feels supportive, authentic, and aligned, so that you can find that harmony and balance that works for you today. I love the analogy of the car running without gasoline. This is something I see and hear so often and so frequently, is, business owners or leaders and big companies just burning the candle at both ends, running on empty. And then they have a major thing like, cancer, adrenal fatigue, burnout, an accident that didn't need to happen. And so recognizing those symptoms and, like she said, instead pivoting and finding those things that inspire and light you up. It's ironic. A lot of my clients, and myself included, when we create more spaciousness and more rest, it's amazing how fast your business can grow when you do that the right way. So I just want to, for our listeners, remind you that you can still grow and be more supportive in your business and be incredibly successful and rest. And I feel like that's not something we hear enough. I don't work more than 40 hours a week, you guys. I'm extremely type A, but a lot of the things that I do beyond like the working hours support my clients and whatnot, but it keeps me and my cup full so that I can show up and walk the talk of what I teach for my clients to be successful. And that is something that's taken a long time to integrate after working in corporate America.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to also ask you, Amanda, how do you create a culture of peak performance in the work that you do today?
Walk the walk, talk the talk, right? You have to embody everything that you preach. It's the values, it's lifestyle, it's core. I think teamwork is really important. Collaborations, like-minded individuals. I also think like soft skills, common interests. I hate managing people. I hate it. I'm like very good at leading, but in the day-to-day and delegating and checking in, self-starting, common sense, right? It's a lot of, for me specifically, the more you can do, the quicker you learn. Very open-minded to new ideas, suggestion, ways of doing things. Attitude is everything, right? And every company, any culture, mine particular, whatever, one bad apple, someone's just not quite the right fit, that will be cancer throughout the entire organization. So it's really choosing to work with people and who are sharing, and I guess also complementary to my own skill sets.
Yeah, that's really key what she just said, you guys. So she said that choosing the right people to work with. And as we said early on in this interview, her sixth sense is understanding people and connecting the dots to connect the right teams and the right people for those blind spots. So if you guys are trying to find those key people, Amanda is somebody great you should bring into your organization to take a look at that. Because I know that's something a lot of business owners struggle with, and that's not something that's their zone of genius. Just want to highlight
and it's
that.
so much harder to do it for yourself, right?
Yeah.
I'm agency trained. I have done this my entire career. And it's evolved quite a bit too, right? I'm also a certified life coach and have done so much work to understanding human connection, motivations, and all of the things that also to build around a founder to support them. But, it's really hard to do on your own.
It really is. It really is. I mean, yeah, trust me. All the clients I work with, we either introduce them to partners to help them with onboarding, or we help them as well with finding like that first hire in a different capacity than what Amanda does. So it's something that we all have blind spots on, and you need an expert to make sure that investment is worth it. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about everybody's favorite and also most hated topic, revenue, money. So this is the show me the money section of the show. I wanted to ask you to vulnerably, if you feel comfortable share when you've left money on the table in your business and what you did to fix it.
Oh my goodness, all the time. Early on, I am, as a consultant and someone who works in the relationships and people and advice, and ask Amanda, she knows she can solve it. I cannot tell you how many times, can I just pick your brain? Can we meet for a coffee? Can we get together? Years and years of this. Time is money, right? Valuable knowledge. I'm more than happy to do it. I think so much of it is giving back, but at the end of the day, you have to separate like personal relationships and business. And as a small business owner, at this whole juncture, where it's taken years to establish that time is money, and you shouldn't feel bad about asking, 15, 20 minutes of your time. I think there's a fine line engaging when to charge, when not to charge. If I could go back and do it all over again, I would absolutely. That's great. Let's meet for coffee. 30 minutes of my time is $100, right? Or putting a number on it, because hours and hours wasted, given for free, just to become the expert and really knowing the value now that you give. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And this is something that I, with a lot of my clients, they struggle with this. It's very normal. It's trying to find the fine line of where is the gate, right? The gatekeeping of where you start charging, where there's law of reciprocity, there's giving, there's your free things, right? Your lead magnets, all of that things. And those are great, but you also want your gated content, which is they pay for your time and your value. And oftentimes people give too much away or over give, which can even overwhelm their potential client because it's too much too fast. So yes, making sure that we are charging our value. And I hate the pick your brain thing. Honestly, if people say, I want to pick your brain, I'm like, cool. If you want to book a consulting call, here's the price. You can book that, pay for that here. Or if, I'll bring them into a group call and kind of pre-screen if they're actually a potential client or a potential collaboration partner. So it's not a complete
exactly
waste
how
of my
we
time.
met, right? It's done in a tasteful way. And I'm more generous with my time and giving. And now this is a muscle I am working on myself.
And it's a beautiful muscle that will be so much stronger for you. I love it. Yeah, amazing. And it makes sense when you're in the relationship space that this is going to be something that's uncomfortable initially, but it's something that all of my clients initially go with. And then we just kind of move the gate a little bit further back as we go along the way. And then it's really exciting and fun. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to wrap up with 2 rapid fire questions.
Oh, I love these.
What is the best one piece of advice you'd share with others today?
Keep going.
Keep going. And what is the legacy you wish to leave behind?
Unconventional, paving the way for modern women and the next generation.
I love that.
About leadership, raising really good people, and doing good in this world.
Beautiful. Amanda, can you tell folks real quick where they can find you? We'll add all of your links to the show notes, but just briefly how they can reach you.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Amanda Mintz, or amandamintz.com, and Instagram, Amanda Mintz Creates, and Amanda Mintz.
Beautiful. If you guys are looking for somebody who's a badass at helping pair the right people on your team, and you have a creative project or you have amazing events you're looking to curate, Amanda is a genius at this. Please reach out to her. Also, if you're looking for a guest speaker or somebody to come on your podcast, please don't be shy. Reach out to Amanda. Thank you so much for gifting this time and sharing authentically and vulnerably your story, Amanda.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure. I could talk to you all day.
Ditto. Because we get to choose who we work with. So the beautiful, the right vibe, the right tribe. To our listeners, I hope you took some notes. There were some really beautiful ninja tips here, some really beautiful shifts. And if you liked this and found it inspiring, please give us 5 stars and please share it with somebody else so that we can spread some inspiration today. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the show today. I hope you were inspired. More importantly, I hope you take action. If the show inspired you, I ask that you subscribe and share it with your network. Let's spread inspiration together today.